Nope.
Nope. Nope.
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss? Call it.
I didn't put nothing up.
Yes, you did. You've been putting it up your whole life. You just didn't know it.
All right. Heads then.
One more time.
Heads.
We've got prints and we've got awesome shirts, along with pillows, beach towels, and more. All available at the Underdog store, so don't wait any longer to treat yourself. Get yourself some awesome merch today. Every purchase helps support the channel and you look awesome while doing it. Custom Combat League sure is wild. How's it going, everyone? My name is True Underdog, and some very interesting things happened to Kitana in the recent update. A lot of people freaked out about some of the nerfs she got to her core moves. However, oddly enough, if you dig a bit deeper, Kitana has actually gotten much stronger after these changes. So for starters, let's talk about the nerf. First up, the upward fan toss. So rest in peace this move. It's not completely useless, but the things that made it great are completely gone now. So for anyone who's not aware, if you amplified this move, it had so much hit advantage that it was very easy to combo after in the corner. And since Kitana can already extend combos without spending meter, that just meant her combos were that much longer and did that much more damage and were that much more flashy. And this made custom combat a lot of fun with Kitana. If you don't believe me, just check out some of Super's videos. He had a lot of fun with this character. However, unfortunately, NetherRealm killed all the hype behind this option, because now when you land the meter burn option, it engages auto block on the opponent. So in other words, you know when you land Johnny Cage's nut punch, not the amplified but the regular version, and even though the opponent is stuck there and can't move at all, you still can't combo after it. That's what the developers are referring to. So even if you land the amplified fan toss in the corner, yes, you're plus 13, but no, you can't combo after it. The most you can do is be plus on hit, which is still pretty good, but not nearly as good as this move used to be. And sadly, the same thing is also true for the regular up fan toss. They don't mention it in the patch notes, but I've been testing it and I cannot combo after this thing for the life of me. Now, I could just be bad, that's possible, but to me it looks like even the regular upwards fan toss cannot be comboed after in the corner. Now, of course, you can still combo after it if the opponent's airborne, and you get some okay damage. However, here's the honest truth. The amount of extra damage you get from using upward fan toss in your combos does not warrant it taking up one slot. So once again, like I said earlier, rest in peace upward fan toss. There really is no reason to use it unless you simply enjoy using it, because in the grand scheme of things, it does not offer any competitive edge, whether it be online or at tournaments. However, this next move was always available in competitive modes, and now it's been nerfed quite a lot. So here is Edinian Razors. As you can see, now only one fan comes out by default, and it's -6 on block. And while that is completely safe, keep in mind Kitana is already safe after a vast majority of her strings, and a lot of these don't even have a flawless block gap. Or in other words, there's pretty much no reason to ever do the regular Edinian Razors. In fact, sometimes you're actually more minus on block. So right here after back 1-4, it's actually a good thing, but after this string right here, back 2-3-1, it's -5. So if you want to be even more minus, then by all means do the Edinian Razor, but otherwise you're better off without it. And to make things even worse, you now have to amplify if you want all 3 fans to come out. Now you can still hold it down, you can still be +1 on block if you release the buttons correctly, but all of that was already possible before and it didn't cost you any meter. Now it does, and a lot of players agree that might not be worth it, because once again, Kitana's already safe on a lot of these strings and they don't have any gaps. The whole point of Edinian Razors was you could actually be plus on block and it didn't cost you any meter. Now that it does, it's not really worth it to a lot of players. And honestly, the biggest victim here was corner combos. Kitana used to have some really cool corner combos with Edinian Razors. In fact, it was some of the best damage she could get without spending any meter. But now that's completely gone as well, as unfortunate as that is. Her Edinian Razors are now pretty much useless for corner combos because it's just not worth the bar. And in case you don't play Kitana, this move replaces her fan NATO, which is her go-to way to extend combos. So not only do you give up that combo option from mid-screen, but now it's also gone in the corner as well. So I won't say Edinian Razors has no use whatsoever. It can still make you plus on block in some situations, but since it costs meter, a lot of players say that's not worth it anymore, and I tend to agree with them. I don't think being +1 is that big of a deal for Kitana, especially when it costs meter. Or in summary, rest in peace Edinian Razors. It's just not the move it used to be, and to a lot of players, it's useless now. But that's about it for the nerfs, and like I hinted at the start of this video, I think Kitana is actually much better overall as a character. So let's start off by talking about Royal Protection. So this move now buffs the damage on her forward throw and back throw, as well as her quick execution. So what that means is her throw mix-ups are going to do a lot more damage now than before, and her crushing blow damage has also gone up thanks to this move, and even if you just end your combo with this move, you're getting more damage overall as well. Now with that said, this move is not the best way to end combos most of the time unless you go for the crushing blow, but either way, the point is it's been buffed all around. So just for fun, I'm gonna have Johnny Cage throw a projectile, I absorb it, and check this out. I'm now doing 15% for my throws. That's pretty good, especially since throws were nerfed by 1% in the recent update. But now let's say I absorb 2 projectiles. What's my throw damage like then? Well, it's actually pretty decent. Now I'm getting 17%, almost 18% for my throws, so Kitana is now a grappler essentially when she has this damage buff. That's scary. But now let's say you're lucky enough to fight somebody who just loves to throw projectiles over and over again. Now what do your throws do? Okay, we're getting almost 20% damage now for the forward throw and back throw. That's pretty nuts. Just 3 throws and you're already over half dead with this damage buff. I don't care who you are, that's a scary thought if you're fighting Kitana and she has this damage buff. But now let's say you land a combo. Remember, quick execution did get a buff, so let's see what that crushing blow combo is like now. I'm not even gonna do a jump in, you don't need it. Whoop, and we're getting around 50%. So do not throw a bunch of projectiles against Kitana. If she touches you, she is getting 50% with that crushing blow. And on top of that, keep in mind you can't use breakaway during her fan NATO. So here's what an unbreakable combo looks like with Kitana. You cannot escape here. All of that damage was guaranteed, almost 33%, and I'm left close enough to throw you, that's 20%. So look at that, 1 combo and 1 throw, you're over half dead. Once again, that's some scary damage, I don't care who you are. And then one more nice buff Kitana got was the crouch attacks. Now everybody got this, but in summary, Kitana is now better on hit when she lands these crouch attacks, and the reason that's a big deal is that Kitana's mid was actually pretty slow, 13 frames, but now that down 1 is plus 12 on hit, that means it's much easier to force your opponent to block this even without the input buffer on hit, which I really do think NetherRealm should add. And this is also true for her down 3, right? Down 3 is plus 15, and this down 3 is ridiculous. For one thing, it's faster than down 1, and she gets so low to the ground that she can avoid a lot of attacks. So if you land this, once again, it's now even easier to jail into her back 1 and force the opponent to respect this mid. And in fact, they even have to respect your back 2 as long as your timing is on point. You land this down 1, they have to block this. You land it down 3, they especially have to deal with this. Even though it's a very slow mid, they have to deal with it. And once again, that's a very big deal because this mid is one of her best strings. And that's about it for the buffs that Kitana got, but we're still not done talking about her. Because like I mentioned earlier, it's her custom variations that have made her much stronger now. So for starters, you can now use low fan toss in any variation you want. So I actually got rid of her air hover because I don't really use it very much anyway. I don't think it's that useful most of the time. So instead, I replaced it with low fan toss. This move is fantastic for a lot of reasons. For one thing, Kitana has overheads. So now instead of that overhead, you can do a low and you essentially have a 50-50, especially online. In fact, even this string right here, it ends in an overhead, right? Well, now it ends in a low instead. So once again, a 50-50. And what makes this move even better at a casual level is that if you amplify it, check this out, it's -3 on block. So it's completely safe. And with all this pushback, you've pretty much reset the neutral against a lot of characters. So not only is this move an awesome 50-50, but even if the opponent blocks correctly, there's no risk for Kitana, you're still completely safe. And for this first variation, I still have Ground War enabled, but honestly, you don't really need it because low fan toss is still a great way to end your combos. Look at the damage you get here. You're still getting around 29%. And that's just for the easy combo. You can actually get even more damage, so check this out. Once again, the damage is very similar to Ground War, only like 2 or 3% less, so not a big deal. And then if you want to go super optimal, you can actually go for this combo, which I don't see many people do, and look at that, we're almost getting 30% still, even without Ground War. So if you want to get rid of Ground War and have a different custom ability there, you certainly can, because once again, the damage difference is very minor. We're talking like 2, maybe 4% at the most, and that's not a big deal. But this move just keeps getting better, because when combined with Royal Protection, you you now have a move that is essentially a 50-50 that is either safe on block or does a lot of damage if you guess correctly with the mix-up. So once again, I'm gonna have Johnny Cage throw some projectiles, and let's imagine he blocks my string, but I land the low mix-up. Check this out, 19% for a single low mix-up. And once again, I have several different strings that end in overhead, so if you guess wrong even twice, I've already taken nearly half your health. That's how strong this mix-up becomes with that damage buff. But now let's say I land the overhead ender instead, so not the special move, just the end of that attack string. Look at the damage I'm still getting for this one crushing blow. Check that out, 19%, and then it continues to bleed. It's gonna be over 20%. Okay, I think that's actually over 25%, so check that out. For a single mix-up, once again, you guessed wrong once, and I've taken over 25% of your health. As you can see, this damage buff makes low fan toss that much better, and don't forget, I still have the throw mix-ups to scare you with. A lot of players love doing this, and then when you keep blocking, they just throw you instead, and once again, that's 20% damage almost, just for a throw mix-up. This character on block is going to be terrifying with the low fan toss and the damage buff. In a nutshell, this first custom variation is just Damage City combined with safe mix-ups. Now there is one weakness to this strategy that I have to tell you about, and it's going to be a big deal at a high tournament level. So right now I have Johnny Cage set to flawless block, and check this out, the final hit does have a gap, and if the opponent pulls that off, I'm at -13. That means they can punish me without having to spend any meter at all. They don't need an up 2 reversal, they can punish me straight up. And the same is also true for the overhead ender, so check this out. Once again, flawless block gap, and I am -17, so an even bigger punish for the opponent. Or in other words, if the opponent guesses correctly, I'm not safe at all. Now I don't think this will matter at most levels of play, but at a high competitive level, this is a very scary thing for Kitana. She's not actually safe. However, with that said, this mix-up does still work for one reason. If the opponent wants to flawless block this overhead, they have to release block pretty early, and that means the low option will actually catch them. And on that same note, if they expect the low option, they have to keep holding block, and if they release block to go for this flawless gap, it's not going to be enough time on reaction to actually pull it off. Or in other words, the opponent has to predict what mix-up you're going for. They can't flawless block either of these on reaction. It has to be a very good read. Or in other words, these mix-ups are still very strong, even at a high level. I just wanted to mention how those gaps do exist, and a good opponent could predict your mix-up and punish you without having to spend any meter. So if you're playing Kitana, then make sure to keep on mixing things up, because once you become predictable, that's when you're going to lose to all these flawless block gaps. But as long as you're constantly mixing up your overheads and lows, the flawless block gap is not going to be as big of a threat. And it's the exact same case for this string right here. So the overhead has a gap, but it's -7. So here the opponent actually has to spend a meter if they want to punish you. So if they don't have one offensive bar and one defensive bar, they can't even punish you with a flawless block. And then if they do release block because they think that overhead is coming, the low option will catch them. So once again, they have to guess correctly to even get that flawless block. And Kitana's half-blood stance is also going to be very good for online competitive play now. Before, if you wanted to use this move, you also had to use Edinian fans, which meant you didn't get the fan NATO combos. But now that's no longer the case. You have the best of both worlds. You have the stance mix-ups and all the good combos. And in case you didn't play this variation, check this out. I can cancel and go for a throw, and look how tough that is to react to. And once you are used to that, check this out. Cancel the second hit and go for a throw. Very, very tough to react to. Or this string right here. That ender is a crushing blow. Very scary. Now I can cancel and go for a throw or more pressure. This stance cancel has always been one of the best things Kitana has, and now her combos are no longer limited by the Edinian razors. You can just keep the fan NATO. Once again, this update has made Kitana a lot stronger for that reason alone. And it's not just the stance cancel, she also has the teleport, which is still fairly decent. It's not great, but it's a good option for avoiding projectiles, and unlike Melina, she can actually throw a projectile after she lands it. I'm honestly still very salty that Melina can't do that. She could do it in nearly every Mortal Kombat game, but in this one she can't. The point is though, Kitana can, and that's still a very strong option. In fact, you can even spend 2 bars if you want to. I don't think it's worth it, but it's actually a very good way to apply pressure after this dive kick. So not only are you theoretically safe if you time it correctly, but you can actually be plus on block and keep your offense going if you want to spend 2 bars on this teleport. But here's what has me the most excited. These projectiles are already pretty good. I would argue they're some of the best projectiles in the entire game. Not only on hit, but on block they're also super plus and great for frame traps, all that awesome stuff. And then if you do land 3 of them in the match, you now have a crushing blow locked and loaded, and the damage damage you get on this thing is pretty nice. Check this out. As you can see, that's almost 40%, and that's not even optimal. You can actually get more damage. I just like to show you the easy combos as well, but here's a more complicated combo. As you can see, around 43% there, and that was just one bar off a crushing blow that's very likely to happen in the match. It is not hard to land 3 of those side tosses. And don't forget, you still have the quick execution combos that already do around 40% as well, even without the damage buff. So that means Kitana has a bunch of different ways to get over 40% during the same match. That's pretty crazy to think about. And like mentioned earlier, you still have all the crazy frame traps that this stance offers as well. So yeah, Half-Blood stance is something you definitely want to consider whenever you go online in Kombat League. It's just too good of a move. And if you ask me, it's even better with low fan toss, because that's just one more mix-up the opponent has to worry about. Is it overhead, is it low, or is it a cancel into a throw? All that scary stuff. But let me know what custom variations you like the most in Kombat League, because that's about it for the video. So please leave a like down below if you enjoyed. It really does help my channel out a ton. And then make sure to finish that combo by suplexing that subscribe button. That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.